How can I stop feeling like time is always against me? Time is not your enemy. It is your mirror. I want you to hear this not just as words, but as medicine. Because I know what it feels like to wake every morning already behind. To feel the ticking clock as a whip on your back. To sense that life is running ahead while you stumble after it. This is the modern human condition. And it has stolen not just our peace, but our very presence. Yet the Aethrian Path whispers another truth. When you are fully alive in this moment, time bends and flows with you, not against you. Time is not a tyrant. It is not a thief. It is the reflection of your inner rhythm. Let me start with a scientific truth. Neuroscientists at Stanford ran an experiment where participants under stress were asked to estimate passing seconds. Again and again, stressed minds overestimated, believing minutes had passed when only seconds had. Why? Because cortisol and adrenaline speed up the body's internal metronome. The amygdala shouts, danger, and every tick feels heavier, sharper, faster. When you are anxious, time accelerates. When you are calm, time slows. This means your perception of time is not fixed, it bends with your state of being. Think about the last time you were absorbed in something you loved. A painting, a song, a kiss, a prayer. Hours passed, but you barely noticed. Compare that to standing in a line when you were late, every minute dragging like a stone. Same clock, different you. So who is the enemy here? Time, or your state of consciousness? The Aethrian Path teaches that we live not only in body and mind, but also in soul and consciousness. The body and mind perceive time as linear, a straight line from birth to death. But soul and consciousness experience time as a spiral, where each moment touches eternity. When you live from body and mind alone, time feels scarce, merciless, always slipping. When you awaken soul and consciousness, time reveals itself as abundant, compassionate, timeless. Let me tell you a story. In Raikot, where my ancestors once walked, there is an old banyan tree. When I was a boy, I would sit under it and watch the sunlight filter through its countless leaves. An elder told me, "This tree has seen more centuries than you will see years." To it, time is not measured in hours but in cycles. That banyan did not rush. It did not complain that seasons moved too fast. It lived in spiral time, rooted and infinite. And I realized then, perhaps humans suffer because we forgot the tree's way of being. In the West, ancient Greeks spoke of two kinds of time: chronos, the measurable minutes, and kairos, the sacred time of opportunity and presence. Our suffering begins when we live only in chronos. Our healing begins when we awaken kairos. The Aethrian spiral clock is the union of both, honoring the minutes yet stepping through them into timelessness. How do we step into this? Begin with breath. Right now, place your hand on your heart. Inhale slowly through the nose, hold, then exhale fully. As you breathe, notice the seconds. Each inhale is not just oxygen, it is the birth of a new moment. Each exhale is not just carbon dioxide, it is the death of the old. Here, in your lungs, eternity is happening. When you do this daily, something shifts. You stop racing the clock, you spiral into it. Instead of being chased by minutes, you begin to ride them like waves. But let's go deeper. Why do we feel time is against us? Because modern life trains us to measure worth by productivity. A farmer once measured life by harvests, a poet by poems, a parent by laughter shared. But today we measure by emails sent, meetings attended, deadlines crushed. This mechanical measurement forces you into battle with time. You become a soldier, fighting a war you cannot win. Yet the war is an illusion. Time is not the battlefield, your perception is. And perception can change. Let me share another story. In Belgium, I once met a man who survived cancer. He told me, "When I thought I had only months left, time slowed. Every sunset became endless, every meal sacred, every conversation eternal. Now that I am well, I try to live as if I am still dying, because then I am most alive." That is the paradox. When you stop clutching at time, you receive more of it. Ancient traditions echo this. In Zen monasteries, monks rise at dawn, not to beat time, but to align with it. In Sufi practice, the whirling dervish spins until the self dissolves, and only the eternal now remains. In Hindu scriptures, Krishna whispers to Arjuna, "I am time, destroyer and creator." To resist time is to resist divinity itself. To embrace it is to enter eternity. So let us practice together. I want you to imagine a clock, but not the usual round clock. Imagine instead a spiral clock. Its hands do not move in a circle but in a gentle spiral inward. Each moment you live fully brings you closer to the still point at the center. Each moment you resist pushes you outward into chaos. Visualize this when you wake, when you work, when you feel rushed. See the spiral, breathe into it, return to the center. And remember, the center of the spiral is timeless presence. A. Voiceover script, Part 2. When we left the spiral in the last breath, you were at its center. Let us now journey outward, not to lose presence, but to explore how this simple shift, from racing against time to spiraling within it, can transform every layer of your life. Think of the morning, when the alarm rings. Most people wake not with gratitude, but with resistance. The mind whispers, not enough sleep, not enough time, not enough energy. That thought is the first brick in the wall of your day. By noon, the wall feels like a fortress, trapping you. By evening, you are exhausted, not from hours past, but from carrying the weight of resistance. Imagine instead beginning with a breath, whispering, "This moment is enough." Time softens instantly. Science confirms this. Psychologists at Harvard studied time affluence, the feeling that you have enough time, and discovered that those who cultivated it through mindfulness reported greater happiness, deeper relationships, and even better health. Notice, it wasn't the actual number of hours they had, it was their perception. The same 24 hours, but lived as scarcity or abundance. This brings us to the paradox of speed. Technology promised to save us time. Emails faster than letters, planes faster than ships, instant messages faster than thought. Yet here we are, more hurried than ever. Why? Because speed without presence multiplies emptiness. You scroll through hundreds of posts in minutes yet feel no nourishment. You rush through meals and wonder why you are still hungry. The spiral teaches us. It is not speed that matters, but depth. A slow meal in presence gives more life than a rushed banquet. A 5-minute walk in awareness is richer than hours lost in distraction. In the Aethrian Path we speak of Chronos, Kairos, and the spiral that unites them. Chronos says, "You have 1 hour." Kairos whispers, "This moment can open eternity." The spiral says, "Both are true. Honor the hour, but live the eternity within it." This is how you stop feeling crushed by time. You stop trying to stretch the hour wider and instead step deeper into its heart. Let me tell you of a tradition from Africa. The Dogon people of Mali speak of time as layers of breath. Each breath contains the ancestors, the present tribe, and the unborn future. To breathe is to commune across generations. What if you lived like this? Each breath not just a tick of the clock, but a communion with your lineage and your legacy. Would you still feel time against you? Or would you feel carried by it? Or consider the desert Bedouins. To them, time is measured not by clocks but by the movement of stars, the coolness of night, the rhythm of camels. A journey is not 2 hours but until the next watering hole. In such a rhythm, anxiety softens. Because time is not fought, it is followed. And yet, here we are, in cities with glowing screens, where minutes seem like currency and productivity like God. I tell you this, if you worship productivity, time will always be your enemy. If you honor presence, time will become your ally. Pause with me. Right now, wherever you are, look around. Notice something you had not noticed before. The shadow of a chair, the hum of electricity, the way your chest rises. This is Kairos. It is free, always waiting. You have stepped into timelessness without moving an inch. Now let us go deeper into the spiral clock practice. Imagine the day as a spiral of 24 rings. Each hour is not a line lost, but a layer lived. At dawn, the outer ring shines. By noon, you have spiraled inward. By night, you rest at the core. Tomorrow, a new spiral begins. Do you see? This transforms the very shape of life. Instead of a race toward death, each day becomes a spiral toward presence. Death itself is not an end, but the innermost circle. Return to stillness. This is not just philosophy. It is neuroscience. Studies from Richard Davidson's lab show that long-term meditators perceive time differently. Less stress, more spaciousness, even slower aging at the cellular level. Their telomeres, the protective caps of DNA, remain longer, delaying decay. Presence literally lengthens life. Time bends not only in perception, but in biology. Think of it. What you call losing time is often losing presence. What you call gaining time is regaining presence. Time has not changed. you have. Let us add another practice. I call it the pause between tasks. Before you move from one task to another, pause for 3 breaths. Just 3. At first it will feel unnecessary, even indulgent, but soon you will realize those pauses are doorways. They expand minutes into eternity. They remind you that life is not only tasks but the space between them. Story again. A young student once asked his Zen master, "How do I stop time from slipping away?" The master poured tea until the cup overflowed, spilling everywhere. The student cried out, "Stop! The cup is full." The master said, "So is your life. Until you make space, no moment can stay. Presence is that space. Without it, even eternity spills unnoticed." Now reflect on your own life. How many moments have you lost? Not because time was cruel, but because you were absent. Childhood laughter you did not fully hear. Meals eaten without tasting. Conversations where your mind wandered. These are not losses of time, they are losses of presence. But do not despair. Presence can be reclaimed in this breath now. So when you ask, "How can I stop feeling like time is always against me?" I answer, stop running, stop resisting, stop worshipping the clock. Begin to spiral inward. Honor Chronos, awaken Kairos, live the spiral. Then time will cease to be your enemy. It will become your mirror, your ally, your silent teacher. Let us now step into the heart of story. Because humans do not live by facts alone. We live by the tales we tell about ourselves. And too often, the story we tell is, "I am always behind. I never have enough time. I am losing the race." But what if that story is the very prison we sit in? To change your experience of time, you must rewrite the story you live inside. I once met a businessman in Dubai who confessed that even though he had money, cars and success, he could not sleep. "I am haunted," he told me, "because every day I feel I am wasting time." I asked him, "How do you measure time?" He said, "By how much I produce, how many deals I close, how much profit I make." I smiled and asked, "When your child runs into your arms, is that wasted time?" He paused, eyes wet. "No," he whispered, "that is eternity." For weeks afterward, he practiced what I call the eternity gaze. Each time his daughter hugged him, he let the moment stretch, soaking every detail, the warmth of her skin, the sound of her laughter, the scent of her hair. Slowly, he rewired his nervous system. Time became not currency, but communion. He still worked, still earned, but no longer felt imprisoned. He discovered that eternity can be found in seconds. This is the secret. When you live shallowly, even years vanish unnoticed. When you live deeply, even seconds expand into forever. Cultures across the world knew this. The Mayans built temples aligned with the sun, not to worship minutes but to harmonize with cosmic rhythms. To them, time was not linear but cyclical, a wheel where endings were beginnings. The ancient Egyptians believed that when you lived with Ma'at, truth, harmony, balance, time itself granted you immortality in memory. In Vedic India, sages spoke of yugas, vast cycles of time where civilizations rise and fall, teaching that your individual stress about hours is laughable compared to cosmic spirals. These teachings all point to one thing: time is vast but presence is vaster. Let's ground this into practice. I want you to imagine a simple day lived in spiral time. Morning ritual. Instead of rushing, you wake 5 minutes earlier. You sit by the window, sip warm water, and watch the light change. In those 5 minutes you spiral into presence. Already time feels abundant. Work ritual. Every 2 hours you pause for one spiral breath. Inhale as if gathering eternity. Hold as if suspending time. Exhale as if releasing the race. In that pause you reset. Stress softens. Time bends. Meal ritual. You choose one meal each day to eat without distraction. No phone, no news, no rush. Just taste, chew, savor. A 20-minute meal becomes nourishment for body and soul. Evening ritual. Before sleep, you write one line in a journal. What moment today felt eternal? By naming it, you remind yourself that time is not only minutes past but eternity tasted. If you lived this way, would you still feel time as enemy or as ally? Let us take it wider. What about a week? The spiral teaches the 7th day reset. Every 7th day, instead of chasing tasks, you let the spiral breathe. No rushing, no strict agenda. You do not waste the day, you reclaim it. Ancient traditions called this Sabbath, rest day, renewal. It is not laziness, it is rebellion against the tyranny of Chronos. When you live without rest, time enslaves you. When you honor rest, time serves you. And what about a month? Once a month, choose one day to measure not by hours but by presence. Instead of asking, what did I accomplish today? Ask, how deeply did I live today? That shift alone rewrites your story of time. Now I want you to feel a paradox. Listen carefully. Time is both illusion and truth. Science shows that time bends near black holes, stretches with velocity, contracts with gravity. Einstein proved that your perception of time depends on where you stand. In the same way, your inner black holes, your anxieties, your rushing thoughts, warp your personal time. But shift your position, change your state, and suddenly time bends in your favor. You do not need a spaceship to do this. You need awareness. A friend once told me, when I meditate, 10 minutes feel like an hour. When I scroll my phone, an hour feels like 10 minutes. That is the whole lesson in a single sentence. Presence expands time. Absence erases it. The Aethrian Path does not deny Chronos. Bills must be paid, deadlines met, meetings attended. But it insists on spiral living within Chronos. This is the art. Honoring the line while awakening the circle, living the minutes while tasting eternity. And remember, when you feel time is against you, it is usually your own fragmentation. You are scattered in past regrets and future fears, leaving the present abandoned. Of course the present feels hostile. It has been left alone. Bring yourself back, and the hostility dissolves. So I ask you now, what story will you live? The story of a hunted being, chased by clocks? Or the story of a conscious soul, spiraling in presence? The story is yours to write, in this very breath. Let us now step into one of the deepest wounds humans carry. The wound of time lost. Almost every person I meet carries some form of this ache. A mother whispers, "My children grew too fast." An elder sighs, "Where did the years go?" A man in midlife stares into the mirror and asks, "How is it already too late for my dreams?" This is not just sadness, it is time trauma, the wound of believing that precious hours have slipped through our fingers forever. But the spiral teaches us, no moment is truly lost if you enter presence now. Memory itself can be healed. Neuroscience tells us that when you recall a memory, it is not like playing back a recording. It is more like rewriting a story. Each time you remember, the brain restitches the threads. This means you can re-enter moments of your past with presence today, and in doing so, you heal the wound of lost time. I once guided a man who said he had missed his children's childhood because of work. His guilt was heavy, like an iron chain. I asked him to close his eyes and remember one moment, just one, from their early years. He recalled his daughter's first steps. I invited him to breathe into that memory, to slow it down, to feel her tiny fingers in his palm as if it were happening now. He wept. Later he said, for the first time I felt like I was truly there with her. The past had been healed in the present. Time had given him a gift instead of a wound. Do you see? When you stop fighting time, you realize even the past can be touched with presence. Let us turn to aging. Society sells us the lie that to grow old is to lose worth. Every wrinkle is marketed as failure. Every grey hair is decline. No wonder people feel that time is the enemy. But what if aging is not loss but expansion? In the Aethrian Path we say, youth runs in lines, wisdom spirals, the young chase minutes, the wise life cycles. When you stop measuring life by how many years remain, and start living by how deep each moment feels, aging becomes not a thief but a teacher. Look to the myths. In Hindu tradition, Shiva is called Mahakala, the great time. He is both destroyer and liberator. To the fearful, he is death. To the awakened, he is eternity. In Greek myth, Chronos devours his children, a symbol of how linear time swallows everything. But alongside Chronos stands Kairos, sacred opportunity, reminding us that time does not only consume, it also opens. And in Egyptian lore, the serpent Ouroboros swallows its own tail, a circle without end. That is spiral time, life devouring life yet never ending. When you meditate on these symbols, something stirs in you. You begin to see that your fear of time is really fear of death, and your fear of death is really fear of absence. But if you live present now, then even death is not absence. It is the innermost spiral. the still point where all returns. Let me share another story. A grandmother in Punjab once told me, "Beta, don't fear dying. Fear living absent. Dying takes one moment. Absence steals thousands." Her face was lined with years, her hands calloused with work, but her eyes shone like eternity. That is what spiral living does. It makes you radiant, even as the body ages. Now let us practice. Close your eyes and imagine your life as a great spiral stretching backward and forward. On one side, the child you once were. On the other, the elder you are becoming. Both are alive in you now. As you breathe, feel the child's laughter in your chest. Feel the elder's wisdom in your bones. In this breath, past and future spiral into present. Nothing is lost, nothing is wasted. The Aethrian spiral clock has advanced practices, and I will share one with you now. I call it the hourglass turn. Take an hourglass, or if you don't have one, imagine it. Sand falls from top to bottom, your minutes slipping away. Now, instead of despairing, flip it. Watch as the flow reverses. This simple ritual reminds you are not helpless before time. With awareness, you can turn your experience. You can decide whether the falling sand is loss or renewal. Perform this once a week and you will feel the shift. Time no longer draining but flowing. Another practice is the midnight spiral. At night, before you sleep, lie flat and breathe into your heart. Imagine the day's spiral folding inward. Each conversation, each meal, each thought, drawn into the core of your chest. As you exhale, release the residue of rushing, the fragments of absence. When you wake, begin a new spiral. This trains your psyche to live each day as a complete circle, not a fragmented line. And what of fear? The fear that time will run out before you fulfill your purpose. This fear burns in many hearts. The spiral answers gently. Purpose is not something to chase in the distance, but something to embody in the moment. If you are fully present, even washing a dish can be purpose. If you are absent, even great achievements taste hollow. Your legacy is not measured by years, but by depth. So breathe now. Feel the wound of lost time softening. Feel the fear of aging transforming. Feel the weight of hours becoming lighter. You are no longer a victim of time. You are a dancer with it. Each tick is a drumbeat. Each day a rhythm. Each life a song spiraling into eternity. Now let us step into the landscape where most people feel the sharpest sting of time. The daily battlefield of work, money, and responsibility. It is here that the cry rises loudest. I don't have enough time. Deadlines close in. Bills stack higher. Children call. Emails multiply. The minutes feel like arrows flying faster than you can dodge. In this arena, time does not feel like a mirror. It feels like an enemy. But the spiral shows us another way. Think first of work. Modern culture has trained us to equate productivity with worth. A person who works 16 hours is seen as more valuable than one who works 8, regardless of presence or depth. But neuroscience tells us a different story. Studies from Stanford show that after about 55 hours per week, productivity drops sharply. Beyond 60 hours, it collapses completely. In other words, more hours do not equal more value, they often equal less. The spiral way is not about working longer, but working deeper. Imagine two writers. One sits for 10 hours, distracted, resentful, forcing words. The other sits for 2 hours, fully present, flowing, alive. Who has more time? Not the one with more hours, but the one with more presence. Presence creates quality, and quality outlives quantity. This is spiral time at work. Now look at money. Financial stress is one of the heaviest weights humans carry. The feeling of not having enough money quickly transforms into the feeling of not having enough time. You say to yourself, I'll never make it, never catch up, never get free. This is time trauma translated into economics. But pause. Spiral wisdom teaches, wealth is not measured only in coins, but in presence. If you earn more but live absent, time devours you. If you earn enough and live deeply, time nourishes you. Consider the farmer who spends long days in the field but pauses to watch the sunset each evening. He has less money than the millionaire, yet more time. Because his wealth is not in minutes owned but in moments lived. This is not to romanticize poverty, it is to remind you that chasing only money can make time an eternal enemy. But balancing money with presence makes time your ally. And what of family? So many parents tell me, I don't have enough time for my children. Yet when we explore, I find they do spend hours together, just not present. The phone rings, the mind worries, the body is tired, the child feels absence. Spiral Practice offers a solution. Create presence capsules. 10 minutes with your child. Phone off, eyes meeting, laughter shared. Those 10 minutes are richer than 10 distracted hours. Children do not measure time in hours, they measure it in presence. The same is true of love. Couples often complain, we never have enough time together. Yet they sit side by side scrolling on separate screens for hours. Spiral Practice says, turn one evening meal into a ritual. Light a candle, breathe together, share one truth each. That hour becomes sacred, eternal. Love does not need more hours, it needs deeper ones. Now let us enter the psychology of pressure. Why does a deadline feel like death? Because it activates the fight or flight system. Because it activates the fight or flight system. The brain reads the ticking clock as a predator. Heart races, breath shortens, time accelerates. But if you insert spiral breath into the moment, something magical happens. Inhale for 4, hold for 4, exhale for 6. Within 60 seconds, the parasympathetic nervous system activates, stress hormones drop, perception of time expands. Suddenly the deadline is not a predator, but a partner pushing you to focus. There is a saying in the Aethrian Path. The clock is a hammer, you decide whether it breaks you or shapes you. Deadlines can crush or refine. The difference is presence. Story again. A young woman preparing for exams once told me, I can't manage time, there's too much to study. I taught her the spiral study method. Instead of staring at the clock, she set a timer for 25 minutes. During that time, full immersion, then 5 minutes of spiral breath, then repeat. Her stress decreased, her memory improved, and to her amazement, she finished with hours to spare. She realized she had not been lacking time, she had been leaking presence. Let us take this further into financial stress. Imagine you are drowning in bills. The mind screams, I don't have enough time to earn enough money. Spiral Practice invites you to pause. Ask, what small step can I take today with full presence? Pay one bill, write one application, make one call. Do it with full awareness, not panic. That small action spirals outward. Presence builds momentum. Soon you find that scarcity of time was an illusion fueled by fear. And in family responsibilities, elderly parents, young children, obligations, time often feels stretched to breaking. But here too, Spiral Practice helps. Instead of multitasking endlessly, choose one moment of full presence with each loved one daily. 10 minutes of true attention outweighs hours of distracted care. This heals not only time pressure, but relationships themselves. Now I want to introduce a simple yet powerful Aethrian exercise, the spiral pause at the threshold. Each time you cross a doorway, into work, into home, into a room, pause one breath. With the inhale, say inwardly, I am arriving. With the exhale, I am here. This tiny ritual transforms thresholds into portals. You stop rushing through time and begin spiraling within it. Neuroscience supports this. Studies on micro-mindfulness show that even brief moments of awareness, 10 seconds, 20 seconds, can reset the nervous system, lowering stress and expanding time perception. Presence need not take hours, it can bloom in seconds. So when you feel overwhelmed by work, money, family, pause at the doorway. Breathe. Remember, time is not against you. Absence is against you. Presence is always for you. We have journeyed through daily life. Work, money, family, and seen how presence transforms time from an enemy into a companion. Now let us spiral deeper into creativity, spirituality, and the mystery that shadows every life, death itself. Because when you understand these layers, time stops being a chain and becomes a doorway. Let us begin with creativity. Many artists, writers, and thinkers complain of not having enough time to create. They wait for long weekends, for retirement, for the perfect hour. Yet history shows otherwise. Virginia Woolf wrote entire chapters in stolen half hours between household duties. Beethoven composed while deaf, scribbling notes whenever inspiration broke through. The spiral reveals why. Creativity does not need long stretches of time, it needs deep presence. When you sit down with a brush or pen or instrument, if you spiral fully inward, 10 minutes can open worlds. This is why so many great works were born in fragments of borrowed time. Time is not the master of art. Presence is. Aethrian practice for creators is called the flame window. Before creating, light a candle. Stare at the flame for 1 minute, breathing deeply. Then, without thinking of hours, pour yourself into the act. Painting, writing, sculpting, designing. You will notice something astonishing. The clock dissolves. What felt like a burden becomes a companion, carrying you into flow. Neuroscience names this the alpha-theta bridge, when brainwaves slow and creativity heightens. Presence bends time into inspiration. Now to spirituality. Every tradition whispers that time is illusion. In Buddhism, impermanence is the doorway to awakening. In Christianity, eternity is not later, it is now, hidden within. In Sufism, the beloved is tasted only in the present breath. And in the Aethrian Path we say, body and mind live in linear time, but soul and consciousness live in spiral time. When you meditate, pray or surrender, you step out of Chronos and into Kairos. That is why minutes in meditation can feel like eternity, or eternity can feel like minutes. Consider this. When mystics emerge from deep meditation, they often say, I was gone for hours, yet it felt like seconds. Or, I was gone for minutes, yet it felt like years. This is not confusion, it is spiral time, where the line bends into the circle. Presence erases the tyranny of the clock. Now let us touch the great shadow, death. For many, fear of death is the root of the feeling that time is against them. You think, life is short, I am running out, I will lose everything. But the spiral answers differently. Death is not the end of time, it is the innermost spiral. Just as a seed must dissolve for a tree to rise, your form must dissolve for eternity to reveal itself. Death is not absence, it is the completion of presence. Story again. A man in Belgium, facing terminal illness, once told me, I feel betrayed by time. I invited him into the spiral breath. As he inhaled, he imagined drawing the past and future into his heart. As he exhaled, he released the fear of running out. Slowly, tears became calm. He whispered, I see it now. I am not losing time, I am entering it. Until his last breath, he lived spiral time. Even his passing became luminous. This is not poetry alone, science affirms it. Research on near-death experiences shows that many who come close to death report time dissolving. They experience life review in seconds, eternity, in a flash. The brain under stress releases DMT and floods with altered rhythms. Consciousness touches spiral time. What if you did not wait until dying to experience this? What if you practiced it daily, in breath, in presence? Death would lose its terror, and life would gain eternity. So how do we practice spiral time at the edge of mortality? Begin with gratitude. Each morning whisper, this could be my last day, let me live it fully. Gratitude anchors you in presence, then practice surrender. When moments slip, when hours vanish, instead of grieving, breathe, nothing is lost, all is spiraling within. Over time, this softens your grip and turns fear into acceptance. Now let us weave creativity, spirituality, and mortality together. Imagine painting a canvas. Every brushstroke is a second. If you rush, you smear. If you slow, you shape. The masterpiece is not only the final image, but every stroke along the way. Your life is that canvas. Time is your brush. Presence is the color. And death? Death is not destruction of the painting. It is when the frame is placed, the work revealed, the spiral complete. I want you to try an advanced Aethrian practice now. Close your eyes. Imagine a great spiral before you, luminous, endless. Step onto it. With each inhale, take one step forward. With each exhale, feel the step expand. Soon you notice there is no finish line, only the spiral itself, infinite, compassionate. You are no longer racing. You are walking in eternity. Stay here for a few breaths. This is the truth hidden beneath your fear. You were never against time. You were always inside it, like a wave inside the sea. As we near the final stretch of this hour together, remember this: time cannot be controlled, but it can be transformed by presence. Work, money, family, creativity, spirit, even death, all bow before presence. The clocks may still tick, the hours may still pass, but in the spiral you are free. We have traveled together through many layers: science and myth, daily stress and eternal wisdom, presence in breath and courage in death. Now we must draw the spiral to its natural completion. Not an ending, but a return to the still point, the center where all lines converge. Here, I will give you a blueprint to carry forward, a rhythm for your days, a way to live so that time no longer hunts you but holds you. Let us call this the daily spiral time blueprint. Morning, awakening presence. When you rise, do not rush. Sit for 1 minute in silence. Feel the first breath of the day. Whisper to yourself, this moment is enough. If you have more time, practice spiral breath. Inhale for 4 counts, hold for 4, exhale for 6. This simple act expands your inner space, sets the rhythm for the day, and reminds you that time is your mirror. Midday, anchoring. At lunch, before eating, pause. Look at your food. Thank the hands, the soil, the sky that brought it here. Then chew slowly, without distraction. This transforms 20 minutes into eternity. Your body digests better, your mind clears, and your heart softens. The spiral deepens. Evening, integration. As the sun sets, step outside if you can. Watch the light change. Breathe with it. Allow the spiral of the day to fold inward. Name one moment that felt eternal. Write it in a journal. It can be small. The smile of a stranger, the taste of tea, the sound of rain. By honoring it, you teach your nervous system to see abundance instead of scarcity. Night, return to stillness. Before sleep, lie flat, hands on your chest. Imagine the spiral of the day completing at your heart. Whisper, I return to the center. Then surrender. Sleep becomes not escape, but entry into the timeless spiral of dreams. This is not complicated. It does not demand hours. It demands presence. And presence bends time. Now, let us expand from the daily to the lifelong. In youth, time feels infinite, so it is squandered. In midlife, time feels scarce, so it is chased. In old age, time feels heavy, so it is feared. But the spiral says, at every stage, time is the same, an eternal mirror. Only presence changes the reflection. Youth can be wise. Midlife can be abundant. Old age can be radiant. This is not philosophy, it is practice. Story again. An old man once told me, if I could live my life again, I would worry less and notice more. That is spiral wisdom. Do not wait until the end to learn it. Practice now. Let presence shape your days, so that when the final breath comes, you will not say, where did the years go? But I lived each one fully. And here is the paradox. When you stop clutching at time, you receive more of it. When you stop fearing its end, you step into its infinity. When you stop measuring it only in hours, you begin to taste eternity. Let us close with a guided meditation. Close your eyes. Inhale deeply. Feel the air spiral into your lungs. Exhale fully. Feel the spiral release. Now imagine before you the great spiral clock. Each breath turns its hands, not in a circle, but inward toward the still point. With each inhale you draw closer. With each exhale the noise of rushing fades. Soon you arrive at the center. In this center there is no past, no future. Only now. And in this now, eternity rests quietly, like a bird on your palm. Stay here. Notice the silence. Notice the stillness. Notice how free you feel when the chase ends. This is your true home. You can return any time, with one breath, one pause, one spiral inward. When you open your eyes, remember, time is not your enemy. It is your teacher, your companion, your mirror. Live this truth, and you will never be against time again. You will be with it, within it, beyond it. So I leave you with these words of the Aethrian Path. Do not race the clock. Spiral with it. Do not fear the end. Live the center. Do not measure life by minutes. Live it by presence. The hour has passed, but if you have truly listened, you have stepped into eternity. And eternity is never lost. It is always here, waiting, in this breath.